Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of Villain from 2020. Eddie Franks is a former criminal who attempts to help his family by reconnecting with his daughter and clearing his brother's debt. Despite his efforts, he is drawn back into a criminal way of life with devastating consequences. This British crime movie stars British indie movie stalwart Craig Fairbrass, who you might know from Cliffhanger, Muscle, or possibly from EastEnders. It was directed by Philip Barantini, who is an actor turned director who's mainly done short films before this, and he's since gone on to make a film called Boiling Point. Villain was written by Greg Hall, who also wrote Communion and Dangerous Mind of a Hooligan, and he also has directed in the past too. And he co-wrote this with George Russo, who co-wrote Turnout and a few short films. And like the director, he's also an actor who has appeared with Fairbrass actually quite a lot in the past, and who's also in the cast of this movie too. Which is typical of an indie film. You've got people that are writers, directors, producers and actors. In the British indie scene, there's quite a lot of movement around different roles. So who else is in this? Who co-stars alongside Fairbrass? Well, you've got the aforementioned George Russo, the co-writer. He's been in Green Street 3 and also I Am Soldier. You've got Izuka Hoyle, who you might know as Dana from the Wheel of Time series, and she's also gone on to make Boiling Point with the same director. Mark Monero, who I knew as Steve from EastEnders years ago, who's also been in Free Fire and loads of TV over the years. Tommy May, who is your typical renter villain, who is also in Justice League and recently Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Eloise Lovell Anderson from the film The Hustle and the TV series The Bastard Executioner. And Robert Glenister, who most people will know from the likes of TV's Hustle and also Spooks. Now, I knew very little going into this film other than it was about 90 minutes long and it was a British crime thriller that starred Craig Fairbrass. And it had just come out that day and I thought, it's a short film, it's the kind of thing I like, give it a go. I had seen the trailer actually, and it reminded me a bit of the Scott Adkins movie Avengement, which I've covered previously. And I enjoyed that, and I went into this expecting something similar, set kind of one location in a pub and a little bit heightened. But this is a little bit different than that. Now, the first 15 or 20 minutes was a mixed bag, and I found it quite hard going, mainly because of its London gangland cliches. Everyone dropping the C-bomb, tick. Asking each other for the money they owe, tick. A stripper scene for no real reason, tick. Was I in the late 70s or 80s? Were they literally going through every gangster movie set in London ever and just making sure they hit all the same tropes? But thankfully it improved. Fairbrass's character Eddie comes out of prison and finds his brother, who's been looking after his pub for him, is in hot water. Even that is a little bit of a worn trope, but they made it work here. And once the film gets into its stride and adds more drama to the standard by the numbers, this is how you make this kind of movie stuff, it gets a lot more interesting. Fairbrass's central performance is actually really strong, and although there's a bit of a soap opera feel to the B-plot of him and his estranged daughter, brilliantly played it must be said by Izuka Hoyle, that actually does become the heart of this movie and sets it apart from something that is completely by the numbers otherwise. The writing is a little patchy in places, leaning so heavy into the obvious, and I did feel Russo as the brother, the co-writer, was the actual weak link acting-wise, and he kind of dropped the level of the film when he appeared on screen. This is a competent movie, far better than many similar ones that seem to come out all the time, but it does suffer from lacking consistent tone as it veers from the uber-violent to kitchen sink drama. But thinking about it, maybe that's the point. Once a villain, always a villain, I guess is the theme of this film, and real life and normality, maybe it's no longer available to you once you cross the line. It certainly seems to be aiming for that level of message. Villain is worth a watch, and I did enjoy it, but I kept thinking there was something missing, that magical element that would elevate this from a run-of-the-mill London gang movie and meet soap opera to something a bit more profound, and I think they were trying to do that, it just didn't quite land for me. And without that, I guess it's a little bit forgettable, although it's worth watching even just for Fairbrass and Hoyle's performances alone, as I say, which are both really strong. Oh, so what am I going to do scores-wise? This is a challenge because if we're allowed half bags or if we're doing out of 10, it's a smack in the middle. It's like a 5 out of 10, 2.5 bags, lots of things to like, lots of things to dislike. However, we don't do half bags. So what am I doing? I can't round up. I can't bring myself to do it. So I'm going to give Villain 2 bags of action out of 5. Have you seen Villain already? I think it's been doing good numbers on Netflix. Do you agree with my assessment of it? Feel free to comment below or get in touch with us. You can do that on email, Facebook, or on Twitter. We have new episodes coming out weekly alongside our full-length podcast. And don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to get notifications. Bags of Action will always be free, but if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do that at our Ko-fi page.